We just need to be happy. We just need to be happy.
I needed to get into this place of forgiveness, first of all.
There are things that we can change, there are things that we cannot change.
And I think that dance, that delicacy of trying to maintain contentment.
Yes, and
let's talk. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's go!
Hello. Welcome and many thanks to you for joining me in this third episode of Let's Talk with me, Felix B, the African Prince. Today we are having a conversation on happiness. Many thanks to Kundai and Kumbi for doing this with me. So, Kundai, I'll start with you. What is your definition of happiness?
So if you look at the meaning of happiness in the dictionary, there are two meanings, and I like to go with the first one. And the first one says, happiness is a state of well-being and contentment. And the synonym for that is joy. And for me, that really embodies the way that I look at happiness. I look at happiness not as, attaining certain things or having somebody or, etc. I look at it as getting into this space where you're content, with what you have. If you get to a place where you are content with what you have, you're happy. That's what I think. In fact, I believe that.
Yes, there was Kundai. They're giving us her definition and her views on happiness. And now, Kumbi, what is your definition of happiness?
I think happiness is being content with what you have, knowing that what you have is enough and sufficient for you. You are not compelled to actually look at other people and say that, you know what, I think I want this. I think I need this so that I can be happy. You're happy with the little that you have and it sustains you. You're not being greedy. You're not being covetous, and you are not thinking ill of other people and how they acquire their things in life. And happiness is a state of mind. When you're alone and you're lying there in your room and you're looking at the four corners and there is no one, it's pitch dark and there is just silence. What will be going on in your head? Thinking of from the time you were born to the man or woman you have become. The hurdles, the battles, each and every single wave of life that you have managed to conquer.
And trying to put contentment in perspective, I would say that it is that moment when you look back and say, I am not back there where I used to be. And contentment is patting yourself in the back, acknowledging the effort and the hard work that you have put in to be in this present moment. It is enjoying the fruits of your present moment whilst looking forward to future goals and not being overwhelmed by what you haven't achieved yet. I think that's my understanding of contentment, putting Kundai's and Kumbi's definitions together and, adding my own views here and there. Having defined happiness as contentment with what you have, with your current situation, I can already hear people say, but if I'm happy with what I have now, won't that mean that I'm settling for less than what I could possibly get? Does contentment hinder you from aspiring for more and bigger goals?
It doesn't mean that you're not aspiring. It doesn't mean that you're not you don't work towards certain goals. It doesn't mean you've become a person who's settled, because I think that's the thing that people worry about. If I become content with what I have, doesn't mean that I've settled in life.
So now, having reached that point where you say, I am happy, where you are content with your present situation, with your current moment, how then do you maintain your happiness? Because I believe that happiness is something that you need to constantly work on. It's an awareness that you need to constantly maintain on a daily basis. How then do you sustain that? How do you maintain that balance of happiness?
How do I maintain or safeguard my happiness? To be quite honest, I do what I can. And where I fail, it's either I seek help from the people I trust, but most of the times I run to God, because with God, you do not run out of solutions. God connects you to the people who will be able to assist you, to the people who will be able to uplift you, and to the people who just want to see you winning, even if they are not winning themselves. So that's how I safeguard my happiness. I usually have a happy place or a happy space whereby I just go to the people who are positive, who seem to want to uplift my soul, and we get to share and gather information together, and we just talk about the good things the Lord has done for us, and the good things the Lord will still do for us. And that's how I safeguard my happiness. I try by all means to stay away from negative energy and people who drain, and I always want to concentrate on the positive aspect of things, no matter how negative the situation is. I maintain the positive energy and try and spread positivity and love to everyone else, because happiness can be contagious.
How do you maintain and safeguard it? I think that's sort of intertwined with what I'm about to say, because when you get into that space of contentment, and then you also want to be somebody who aspires to do something, it's such a delicate balance that you need to get. That delicacy of trying to maintain contentment and also trying to work towards a goal that you've set for yourself, a personal goal, whatever goal it might be. I think that that delicate balance is what I believe to be the way that you maintain it.
So we have seen that happiness is being content with what you have. And being content with what you have also fuels that desire for you to aim for something that is much higher. It has nothing to do with material things. You might be $1 million richer but not happy. Yes, $1 million might buy you comfort, but it will not buy you happiness. So happiness is a state of mind that is fueled by gratitude. If you are not thankful for what you have in the present moment, it is impossible for you to be happy, neither tomorrow or the day after, or when you are 10, 20 steps ahead of where you are now. You will never be happy if you cannot be grateful for what you have now.
One of the things that's happened to me this year is that I have had my happiness challenged, and it was challenged by people. And I think it was challenged in the sense that people wronged me, and in that moment my happiness was stolen. And I began to realize that happiness transcends what people, external things, because the decision to go back into a state of happiness for me wasn't based on those people changing their behavior. I had to actually forgive these people. Of course, I have to get into a place where they don't hurt me again the way that they did. But another thing that I needed to do was I needed to get into this place of forgiveness, first of all. I forgave them. And then I just chose to not I chose to forgive them. Like, it was hard because they were genuinely wrong and they hadn't even come to ask for forgiveness. And so for me, my happiness had just been robbed because every time I just think about what they've done, and even if I spoke to someone about it, they would be like, for real, how could they do that? And in that moment, I actually felt like happiness leave me. It was actually the first time that I realized, Kuti, happiness is something that it's a decision. It's actually an active decision you've got to make. I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to forgive these people. And the minute that I forgave them, I actually felt it in my body. Like, I know it sounds insane, but I did, because I was starting to feel sick. I was starting to feel tired, fatigued. Like, I would wake up in the morning and the first thing that I would say after good morning would be, I'm tired. Can you imagine? And when I did that, when I just released these people and just forgave them, and decided, you know what, I think and it's not forgiveness where you're like, it's forgiveness where you actually start to feel sorry for the person. And you're like, wow, I hope this person one day discovers what they've done and I've forgiven them. I can still look at them as a human being, but I can't forgive the act, but I can forgive them and just look at them and hope for the best for them. And the minute I started to do that, I felt happiness enter my life again. And that's when I discovered that happiness does transcend. That's the reason why I love that definition of it's contentment, because happiness, when you define it like that, it basically means that happiness is within your control.
I like what you say there. When you say that happiness is a decision, and once you decide to be happy, that is when you start to take the necessary steps, like forgiveness. And as Kumbi said earlier, happiness is a state of mind. Your mind has to be in a sober state in order for you to make the right decision. In order for you to start forgiving, in order for you to be grateful, in order for you not to covet and be jealous, in order for you to take the next best step, your mind has to be sober, your mind has to be in its right senses. And that is where contentment begins.
So you could be somebody who's take a wild thing, in jail, arrested in a cell. You those are like, it's not something that you can control. All those in the environments and whatever, you can't control that. But you can decide in that moment that I am going to be in a space of contentment and be happy. And somebody can come and be like, how can you be happy under these circumstances? And then you can respond and say, the circumstances are not the thing that make me happy. It's an inward thing of me feeling content, getting into that space of contentment. How you feel content when you're in jail, I have no idea, to be honest. But I do know that we have different jails in our life. I know that there are moments where you've been thrust into a space where you're like, I don't want to be here. Whether it's an economic jail, whether it's, like a relationship jail. Relationships can be jails. Anyways, whatever it is, I think, just getting into that place of tapping into your inner side and just saying, you know what, in this situation, I'm going to find contentment in this and that and this. And you will start to exude happiness and you'll be healthier. Your body, everything, you'll be healthier. And before you know it, you're out of that situation. So I safeguard happiness by safeguarding my inner soul.
Yes, and that is what it's all about. Thank you to Kundai and Kumbi for having this conversation on happiness with me. And we learned that happiness is a decision. Happiness is forgiveness. Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness is contentment. And happiness is gratitude. So, if you want to get in touch with me, you can hashtag Let's Talk, or you can hashtag The African Prince MW, or you can drop me a message on my WhatsApp platform, and that is +263 773 797986. So from me, Felix B, The African Prince, it's goodbye.